This is my second time getting to spend time with the Women in Retail Pavilion at Shoptalk. This is an organization I'm really passionate about and glad I get to work with every day. Quick intro, I'm Shannon Flanagan, the GM of Retail and Consumer Goods at Talk Desk. And I'm competing with the woman who's talking right now. So I call myself a retailer gone tech. I've been in retail starting in stores when I was 18, but decided to come to the other side of the aisle to solve customer service platform problems. So we are a contact center solution, and we're going to talk today about the role of women in customer service. But before we do so, I want to introduce my instant dear friend and fellow influencer, Liza. So go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is... Let's wait till he stops talking.
It's really tough.
I'll try and go closer. My name is Liza Amlani, and I am the principal and co-founder of Retail Strategy Group. We work with brands and retailers, helping them increase profitability, organizational effectiveness, across merchandising, product creation, and of course, I work very closely with my friend here from Talk Desk, thinking about how we can leverage things like insights in product creation and merchandising. And that's me.
Yep. So, guys, I'm going to do the best I can with not being totally interfered by this. But when Hennessy's our head of product marketing, because we are a women-led retail team at Talk Desk, talked about what we wanted to share in these 10 minutes, and we wanted to talk about women in service. I co-funded also an organization called Retail Women in Tech, because there's a ton of opportunity still to bring women into retail leadership roles across all functions. And a couple of stats that I didn't know that we understood is that 61% of the customer service workforce is women, but 61, I said that I think correctly, 39% are in leadership roles. And what we heard from the Empowering Women session earlier this week is that women overall in retail represent 70% of the workforce, but only 30% of leadership roles. So we have a huge opportunity to make changes. Because I'm a history major, I decided to go dig a little deeper around this and got some really interesting nuggets, which is one, in 1878, when Alexander Bell introduced the phone and needed somebody to support it, he thought about men, but he said teenage boys had a bad attitude. So he, the first woman customer service rep was named Emma Nutt. I kind of like that we're giving her some energy props back in the 21st century. But the other reasons were because, no doubt more courteous, but half the pay. Fast forward to World War I. There were men overseas, but switchboards became a thing. Phones were a part of the culture, and there was a huge campaign called Hello Girls that got women behind the phones. Then you move into the 60s and 70s, and women continued to play these roles because, one, they were flexible, but two, they didn't have to be paid as much. They didn't need vacation. They didn't need benefits. And that was, not surprising, but I hadn't really considered it. And then fast forward to where we are today. The reason why women are often in these roles is because of the flexibility, their ability to stay at home. We're natural, empathetic problem solvers, but we're still getting paid a lot less. So, Liza, as we think about the role of women, not just in retail, representing customers and buying, et cetera, but also in service, there are some preconceived notions or defaults. And I'll say, like, Alexa and Siri are both women, right? So we know that there's a role we can play.
Yeah, and I think, there is a reason for that. As we know, women lead with empathy. I've been told to do this. Women, we lead with empathy. I think that is, a crucial thing that we must consider when not only we're hiring customer service reps, but also across the leadership of customer service. And I know that's something that we talk about a lot in Women in Retail, Women of Color Retail Alliance. We talk about hiring more women, but giving them the tools to lead with empathy, and knowing that 80% of purchases are made by women. If we're not evolving our teams to really represent the women and the diverse women in these roles, this is actually the power that we have, and we're able to speak to not only the customer, but speak to the voice of the consumer.
So the reason why I joined Talk Desk is because I have no zen about bad customer service, and I was trained at the age of 18 that service mattered. But two, because I believe that creating the conditions for everybody to love what they do every day. And when we were at NRF, we launched this notion of the culture of compassion, where CX leaders give that to their agents give it to customers, and we as customers give it back to agents. Because, and I've talked about this topic before around the mental health of agents in the workplace, but it's an emotional job, and somebody coined it that I had not seen. It's emotional labor. And so as we think about, again, what we can bring to the table, we talk about it. Shopping's emotional. Loyalty is not just points. Loyalty is a connection that I feel with a brand. And how we understand what our customer is through voice of the customer, through data. So what do you think are some of the ways that women can help shape the future of service with listening to the customer and the data that's now available?
Well, I think you brought up a great stat with Bell, right? And why he hired a female is because that she was able to speak to, and I don't want to use the word control, but speak to the consumer in a way that a man couldn't. So again, it's that empathy. It's the voice of the female on the phone, the rep on the other end. And there was another stat that we were talking about, which was a diversity stat. So yes. 29% of customer service reps are Asian, Latino, or Black, right? So imagine if we started to think about the evolution of the customer and how diverse our customers are, and we started to empower that number and increase that number, and be more inclusive when we're hiring and promoting diverse customer service reps, sourcing folks, designers, product creators, merchants. I'm a merchant. I know Kimberly agrees with me here. But I think that with the voice of the consumer, I think we really need to recognize how diverse our consumer is, and that we need to be inclusive when we are hiring, especially in the space of CX, because those are the folks that are actually speaking to the consumers.
One of the things that 1 minute left, so I'll wrap up here. But one of the things is I explored the role of women in the service space that was really powerful to me is in the space of conversational and generative AI. This is a world that's no code. Technology doesn't need to be a barrier. We don't have to be, concerned. I don't have a STEM background. We can immediately have impact around having humanized experiences in the AI world, which I find really exciting. But as I close out, empowering women in the workforce was one of my favorite sessions. Kimberly, I'll give a shout out to you. It ties right into my passion around retail women in tech, but also what we're doing here. And there's still so much opportunity to make changes. So I'm lucky to work for an organization, a tech company, that 50% of the women are women. 50% of the leadership team are women. Our retail leadership team is all women. And when I think about my call to action to you is, especially if you're a retailer, we talk a lot about store associates. Are you listening to your contact center agents? We talk about leveraging the village, and it hit me that, Hillary Clinton coined that phrase, 20 years ago. I'm old, and now it's ubiquitous. But when we think about how we grow as women, it's through mentorship, allyship. Can be anybody, but really think about leverage your village, but also show up as a leader, take up that space, right? Be confident. And last but not least, take the survey. I actually don't normally take them, but if you're taking the surveys with the women being the majority of the folks that are represented, and you're more likely to expect a woman to give you great service and more likely to actually commend a man to give great service, flip the script, please, and go hang out with the customer service reps in your contact centers and help them grow as women as well. So I think with no further ado, I'm going to give it to Liza to say goodbyes.
I'd like to add one last thing. In May, we are going to be hosting a webinar on Talk Desk, talking more about how we can leverage insights and really empower our customer service teams and our call center teams, and how that can really change the way we retail. So I'll leave you with that.
Thank you, everybody.